Hi there, I'm Selma Jacinto Domingos, your host. I'm an author, a speaker, a leadership educator, and a life changer coach. Welcome to Selma Success TV to empower you to change your life for the better. Today, we will talk about how to inspire leadership and empower African women and authors. And we have our special guests, our global leaders in empowering African women's author. I have with me tonight Felicia Mabuza Nixon. She's an author and the founder of African Female Author, and also Luzia Simão da Silva. She's an author and a business owner, and Tanya Lorenzo, professional organizer and content creator. And first of all, I really want to thank you so much, our guest, because Lucia and Tanya, it's very late where they are right now, and I really appreciate, you know, just being committed to be here with us and share their experience and expertise with us. And I also want to thank you so much, Felicia, which is she's a new mom and she's making also an effort to be here tonight for us to discuss how to inspire, Africans, women's leaders and author. And I will ask our guests to introduce themselves so you can learn more about themselves. And I will start with the Felicia. Felicia, would you like to tell more about yourself, what you do, and how did you become an author and your inspiration to start African female authors?
Sure. So my name's Felicia, as she's already mentioned. I'm from South Africa. Um, I am a new mom, like she said. I have an 8-month-old Kaya daughter. I have written a book. The most recent one is July and September, which got published in 2021, and that's where I met Selma, and we did a book launch together. I started writing poetry and then short stories, and then I started writing novels. And this was the one and only first major publication that I've had that just has only my name on it. I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky. Selma mentioned AFA, which is African Female Authors, which actually she's giving me too much credit because we all started this. We happen to be thinking ahead of what we can do as female authors of African descent. So we just came up with this logo and we thought, well, let's see where we go with it. So that's where that AFA came from.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
and I think that's
much.
it.
Oh, thank you so much, Felicia. I appreciate it. And now I would like to introduce also Lucia. Would you like to tell more about what you do and yeah, and your business and your inspirations?
Hi, Selma. Hi, Felicia. Hi, Tanya.
Hello.
Thank you so once again for the privilege to be on your channel. Um, it's an honor. Well, I'm an author as well. I've written 2 books. The one is a cooking book. The second one is entitled "That African Women Are Super Women." Um, it's all about what African women do on a daily basis, starting as young as, when they are born, as far as long as they can remember themselves, our traditions, patriarchal cultures and societies, and how we have to survive to be able to become noticed and relevant in our societies. Apart from that, I also own a business, an online store, which I launched not too long ago, but which I'm working very hard to make it become a mega one. So I'm also a mom of 3. Okay, my kids are not so young anymore, but I'm between having toddlers right now and having a teenager. So it's also a bit of work, but it's going on very well. Thank you.
Nice.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Lucy. I appreciate your introduction. And now I will pass the words for Tanya.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I already know Lucia. I just met Felicia and Selma. It's always a pleasure to be amongst women that are so intelligent and, have goals in life. Actually, my story is a little bit for Lucia that already knows. I went to school for microbiology. I went to IU Bloomington, but then I did a master's in management, health management, and marketing. But then, when it came organization, well, as I was telling Selma earlier, my daughter was very sick. And at that time, I had to put my career on hold. And I decided that, I actually needed to find some meaning in my life. And one of the reasons why I chose organizations, just I needed systems. And actually started when I was looking around me, talking to other women and, looking for all those things that I wanted to improve in my life. An organization came along. I don't know if I found organization found myself, but it was always a way to improve my life and help others. And at that time, I decided that why not share with the public, share with other women. And while I help myself, I will also help others. And it started kicking in, and I decided to share what I was learning with other people and learning from them, especially women. And this is when Homeganize came along, which is my platform on Instagram, where I share a lot of organization tips, especially for our homes and our spaces, and that's about it.
Wow, thank you so much, Tanya.
Thank you.
How empowering. I'm just so proud and also, very grateful to be in the middle of such a very minded, like minded women and just with everything that we have, have kids and we have dreams and we keep working and we keeping working toward our dreams. So it's just a blessing and it's very empowering too, because we are women and especially for us African women, we have so many things that we are dealing. We just now, like this month, we just celebrate the International Women's Day. And I will ask
Yeah.
this question for each one that you wants to answer first. What does it mean for you to celebrate the International Women's Day, and special for you as an African woman?
Can I
Anyone that
start
wants to go
first?
first? Yeah.
I think although I hear all the time, especially from men, it seems like women have a lot of days throughout the year to celebrate. How about ourselves? And I think although it's a very special day, I think we women we should celebrate us every single day, especially women that you know, want to achieve something in life. I think these days, women, although we love to be parents and take care of our children, it's also important to have something to look forward to. It gets to a point in our lives that we feel like, just being a parent is not enough. And I think we want to, if you want to change people's lives, we need to look outside ourselves, and
Yeah.
celebrating us is also a way to empower us, and I think it's really important to do that. And why not celebrate us this month, but next month, and all months of the year.
Well, I completely agree. I totally agree that we women, we should celebrate us like every single day. And I tell all the time, empower the mom, empower the childrens. If you are empowered as a woman, as a mom, your children will follow just behind you, and it's just so important for this. And Felicia, Lucia, would you like to tell about how the International Women's Day represent to you?
Yeah, I'll go. Well, the International Women's Day, a very important day. It's like especially for not especially for us as African women, but in particular for us as African women, because it started the movement actually started in the Western world where things are now more developed and women have more rights, they have more say in society, they are heard, and they have more freedom. But for some of us, like in Africa, for example, we don't really have as much say as the women in the Western world yet. We don't have as many rights as the women in the Western world yet. So this Women's International Day is very important for us African women because it's a day where attention is paid specifically to us, to our rights to freedom of speech, to be able to work and to earn just like men earn, because we still have, that kind of mentality that men should earn more because they are the breadwinners. We still have that problem in Africa, many countries. So to me, that is very important. We still have the mentality that there are some things that only men should do. Women cannot do because they have to stay home taking care of the family and the kid. So this is very important. It's a day where at least we get to express ourselves, not just to be seen as moms, but to be seen as women, as the partners of the men in society, and as somebody that can also contribute to something positive to the growth of a society, of a nation. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Lucia. And I also agree with you because it's really it can be seen also as the days for like a wake-up call where us as African women we say, oh wow, so this has happened different in this country. This has happened different for this woman in this country. So we can do more. We can be more as African women instead of just living like in a culture, like in a stereotypical culture where only men have, all the professional opportunities, and we African women is still fighting for our right as a professional and as also women. I also want to hear what Felicia has to say, how International Women's Day, represent for you, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like for me, it's not something that I recognize completely, and I see where both Tania and Lucia are coming from. Um, like for me, I think my sentiments is it when the day happens where we celebrate women or Black History Month or whatever. I think that's when it highlights that it celebrates the minority groups. I think that's when we're more aware of how we've been shorted in history. So like to me, I think I remember that more than the positive things. And like I would like to get to a point someday where we don't have Women's Day because we are just it all the time, just like men. There's no Men's Day. Why? Because they're the majority and they're strong and they have the opportunities and they're high in the food chain. Someday we'll get there. We won't have to have our day. Every day will be recognized as powerful just as our counterparts. I recently heard something that Morgan Freeman said where um, somebody was interviewing him, and I don't even know who this man is. And he was like, well, how do you think that Black History Month represents you, and how do you like it? And he said something like, well, do you have a white male month? And he said, no. And why not? Why do you want it celebrated? He's like, well, I don't want it. And then he's like, I don't want it either. I want every day to be my day. So like for me, I just always think of things like that. And it's a little bit cynical maybe, but it's days like this that I'm reminded that, okay, so I'm inadequate, or like I have a long way to go before I can be seen as adequate and equal to my counterpart, if that makes sense.
Yes, makes total
Yeah,
sense,
that's
Felicia. And it's not cynical, it's like you have a child, like have like three childs or two, and then one you see in different way and the other you see in different way, because at the end of the day we all are human and we should be seen as human being. And it's just very interesting that you really mentioned this, that we don't need like a day, special day where it's like, oh, let's celebrate Women's Day or Black or White Days, things like that. We just, this year for the International Women's Day is the theme was inspire inclusion. And yeah, and it was really mentioned also one of the, equality and rights, and how we should move forward with women's rights, in the our dignity, and how we can also include ourselves as a woman, I don't know, Tanya, want to say anything? I saw you.
Actually, I was just having this thought that, that we are impacted by the society we live in. And when I was hearing Felicia, I just realized that, being here, living right now in Europe is just the mindset, although I totally understand and I read a lot about what Felicia was saying, and I also can totally relate to what the way uh, Felicia explained so well. But it seems like here people are more reserved. I don't know if Lucia will agree with it. In a sense, more reserved. Even our opinions can be a little bit more reserved. So I actually admire the fact that we have women from in Europe and tournaments in America. So we can totally feel like, how the openness of opinions, can actually impact us. This is something that I was thinking about. I don't know. I think Lucia will probably agree.
I think we are more reserved. Yes, you're right. But I also think that maybe it's because we still have, I don't know, many of the African people, maybe in our surroundings, still have that African mentality, that the man is the leader and he's the one, that's supposed to be leading the house, the family, the organization, the society, and so on. Because when I think of the European women or even African women, but that have been here in Europe for a longer period of time, I think their mentality is also different. They are more, um, they are less reserved. I think, their reasoning is also different. They don't really want to see themselves as inferior to men, or they don't want they don't really want to place the man as the leader. They don't really, their speech, their attitude doesn't really show that, especially the younger generation. That's what I think. That's what I see in, many a time. Yes.
I agree.
Oh, good.
Yeah, very, very interesting what you just say, because I remember when I lived in Italy for many years, and then when I went back to Angola and teaching at public university, and when we grew up like in different culture too, we kind of like have this influence from our new environment, and we really change our way of thinking. We are more like open, and we want to say what's we think and so on. And I remember my student being so surprised, the way I was expressing myself as a woman and as a professional, and they express some kind of like a resistance, like, oh, you should not, speak in this way, you should not that. And I was like, well, I'm a professional, so I thought I went to university, I did all the work, that's why I'm here now and teaching you. And you mentioned something very interesting, Lucia, when you says that I would say like we really should pay attention also, to our environment, and also to be able to look for role models, from other women that they were there before us, and really they were able to change and give more opportunities for other women's, for especially for other African women's to be empowered. Today, we'll still have a lot of work. We still have a lot of work. But I totally think also that we as an African women, we should be the first women to say, hey, you know what? Times change, and now this is how things should do. Because at the end of the day, if we will still hold, if you still hold in our history that, okay, men's are the one that should be doing this, the leaders, that women should be the second one to wait, to be a professional, to dream big and think about your dreams. We just can live at the risk of transmit this to our daughters, and then they follow our own example. And this goes to my other question. What are the unique challenge that African women's leader are facing today, in your opinion?
Could you please repeat your question?
Like, what are the unique challenge that the African women's leaders are facing today, in your opinion, like the way you see?
I think I can tackle this one if that's okay if I go first.
Yeah.
And it piggybacks on the last question that we had, right? I just think about what Lucia just said, and I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and talk about how, yeah, it's easy for somebody who is in a more progressive culture to be like, yes, well, we should all be equal and blah blah blah. And sometimes it is good to look at your audience and say, well, this is somebody who's in Europe, this is somebody who's in the US, which are more like first world countries, and then we're African. So let's just go back to where we come from. Obviously, it hasn't progressed as it has over here. Women are still trying to make their way to where women in the US are. So when we talk about how, well, we should be celebrated as equals to our counterparts, yes, I do keep in mind the fact that in Africa, it's not like that. We don't have many women CEOs. We don't have women who are celebrated every day for being, the top earners or whatever the case is. So when we talk about the problems that women, African women in particular, have, uh, it is, I mean, just like being stuck. And I'm just going to talk maybe from my experience. It's being stuck between two cultures, right? We see how far other women have progressed, and we're still working our way in our country. So, like, what is that balance? I mean, we see where we can get, but we see how it's mostly like the mentality of the people that you're around. We are a product of our environment. So, depending on where you are, there is those maybe hurdles that are in the way based on where you are. So when I talk about struggles as an African woman, I would say maybe it's just more internal than it is outside of that. Like it starts with me, right? Like how do I take all of it out? And I think I've just ran way far out with this question, and I'm like trying to spiral back. Please stop me, bring me back. But I think most of the time it's you have to start internally before you can project, right? And I think a lot of it is us and we African women, just because like historically, I think we still have a lot to work on ourselves before we can actually start influencing or blaming the rest of the world. I don't know if I'm making sense or just like
You make
yeah.
Go ahead, Tanya.
I think that, just to answer the question, and I totally agree with everything that Felicia said. I think the main struggle is actually voicing ourselves. Just because, our war is actually, like Felicia said, is within us. It's so ingrained in us, everything that we learned growing up. Just to give an example, I am actually a mom of two daughters, and today I was having a conversation with my youngest daughter, and and it became my goal in life for them to be independent. Just because I think that by being independent, they can actually are more free to give their opinions and pursue their goals, because we are still trapped in everything that we learned growing up. We learned that we need to, we were raised to be good moms, good wives. And it gets to a point, especially nowadays, that all we want to do is like bring that fire that we have within us, that constantly, especially constantly that I see in our cultures, men, they feel the need to tame us down a little bit, because I think they come to realize that we actually stronger than we sometimes show. But we have a lot more. I talk to Lucia very often about this, and it's just, I don't know, talking about myself. I think if I could, I would do a million things, because there's a lot of women that just need that. They just need to believe that they can do things, they can achieve goals. And we all live in so much fear, like especially from our counterparts. What will he think? Will he actually, support my decision? And the majority of times there's not actually support. So we actually need to find that within ourselves. So I agree with what Felicia said, and this is an internal war, but you will come out eventually. We'll win this war.
Lucia, do you would like to tell anything? To say anything?
Yeah, I agree with what Felicia and Tanya just said. And, in my mind, I'm thinking there is a very thin line to a certain degree between independence and dependence in this situation of women empowerment. When I think sometimes when we're talking about independence, in my mind, I'm thinking, what is really our definition of independence?
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about independence, what are we really looking at? What is our benchmark? In which situation are we talking about independence? Because sometimes, honestly speaking, I think nobody is completely independent of anybody else. Not even men are completely independent. So I guess sometimes the fight is not just about, that independence, like I am the all powerful one. But I guess what we also looking for is recognition. We're looking for, um, like I said in the beginning, we're looking for relevance. We want people to know, like Tanya just said, that I am well able to do just as much as my counterpart is, if I want to, if I need to, and I want my rights to be respected. There's a thin line that needs to be drawn, because just like there are things that men cannot do it all by themselves, they need us. Vice versa also is very true. There are some things we cannot do about or do with ourselves. So again, I will agree with the ladies that spoke before me, Tanya and Isha. We need to have a platform where we are more heard. Where we are more allowed to express ourselves, so that we do not have to fight, because this, like we said, it's a war, but it should not be a war. It should be, in my opinion, something spontaneous. This is my field, this is where I can do well, respect me for it and give me the same credit that you get for what you can do well. That's my idea.
Thank you. And I will also add to you all says, and I truly believe that we as a women, we should be the first one to include ourselves first. It's like, what you all just said, like do the internal work. And I truly believe that empowerment start from inside you, from the inside out. And if we want like to compare, women's like in different countries or in different locations, our situation, like as African women, as Felicia also mentioned, it's just a very unique situation, where we have so many culture and stereotype and we have so much like oppression, just how you to express yourself and be the touches. I always like to say, because I remember this growing up, I grew up, I love to say in this way that I grew up with two different roles, like my mom and my dad. For my mom, for my father, words was like, you have to have education if you want to be someone in the life. If you want to be successful, if you want to grow in life, you have to have education. But on my mother's side was like, okay, you as a woman, you need to be home and take care of your kids, and the cookie and I remember me as a child grew up like it's so confused. Okay, what I should do, what is my choices, how I can make the right choices for me. And then as an adult, I realized that we as a women, we should be the first one to include ourselves, to really invest and do the work, because we cannot keep waiting for someone to come and save us, and save us as a professional, save us as a wife, save us as a sister, save us as a women. And we just really need to take this first step and say, hey, I'm seeing something different out there. All other women are doing like in different way, and they are really working, they are being leaders, and they are making a change, and they can't, how can we do here? And I totally understand that can be very difficult for some situation. That's where I call other women, like us, where we have more opportunity to see the different perspective and try to reconnect with the ones that are behind us and they don't have, the same opportunity to have this open mind. And this goes to my next question. What are the unique like opportunities that we as African women can have today for us to some kind of like a reborn, and start really making change? Anyone?
Please
I
repeat
just
the
have
question.
Hmm?
Please repeat the question.
Yes. From this perspective, where we as African women, we face this so many challenges, especially like culture challenge that is so attached to our behavior, and the things that we want to do in the life, has, how to be a professional, how to be a mom. What are the unique opportunities that can help us as African women to kind of like reborn and starting working on ourselves so we can give us the opportunity to be the African women that we want to be? This can mean be a professional, a mom, but have the choice, for you to decide who do you want to be as a woman, as an African woman.
um I think this is a more abstract view of it. Like,
Mhm.
I started laughing internally when you said we're not going to wait for somebody to save us. We have to get up and just do it, right? And I thought
Yeah.
this is such a typical African thing, right? So when you talk about these opportunities or these unique opportunities that might be out there, I'm not sure if you're talking about tangible things, but for me, again, it goes back to the mental part of it. Like when I am in a situation and something happens to me, I don't automatically think, oh, it's because I'm black, it's because I'm female, it's because I have an accent, it's because I'm African, right? I just think it's because it's happening to Felicia, it's me. So I approach everything in that aspect, right? But I think that I have this unique weapon that my African internalism is different from everyone else. Like I am more maybe mentally strong. I am just more determined. That's just my outlook on things is different. And I see that as an opportunity for me. Like that is my weapon. I don't see it myself as like, oh, well, I have to get like different opportunities because like I'm a minority or whatever. I'll make it happen, but just because of my inner strength. And I think I get that based on my country's history, based on how just mentally we had to think to survive. So those to me would be the opportunities that I think are out there for me because they're different from everyone else.
Makes total sense. Felicia, would you like to say anything? No, I'm sorry, Lucia. I saw Lucia.
Yes. Just to contribute or to add to what Felicia said, I also thought to myself that within our African context, like the core African is in Africa, you know, I think one of the important aspects that women really have to press in on is the educational aspect of life. Like women really have to be able to go more to school to really study and further their studies. It's not enough to have grade 12 or a simple degree anymore. Even a master's degree nowadays, is, if I have to think of the Western world, it's not enough because here you'll find a single girl, if I may say so, in inverted commas. She will be about 20, 28, but she'll have about 2, 3 master's degree already. Sometimes she even has a PhD already in different fields. So her mind is so open to the world and she has a variety of opportunities for her because she has prepared herself. Something that we as Africans don't have here, because we are still struggling. It's a real struggle to get out of that cocoon of the house and the home and the husband and the father and patriarchal figure and society that we have, that in its own ways also limits our growth as professionals, because somebody that has, let's say, a master's degree in human resources, she has in marketing, and then she has something else in IT, has more opportunities, or she has, she's able to pick more of what she really wants to do with her life and her time than somebody that just, let's say, studied marketing. She's more limited than the one that has studied, 3 different master's degree. Maybe she's even doing her PhD already. This is what women around the Western world have. That's why they're able to fly, That's why you see at the age of 30, 35, they've already done so much, which usually in Africa, you will see what this lady has done in Europe or America within a man's life in Africa at the age, let's say, of 40, 45. That's my opinion.
Thank you so much, Lucia. Tanya?
Yeah.
I think if I totally understood the question, like I think you asked what characteristics we have that actually that put us that makes us different in a sense. If I totally understood, it's like my way of understanding your question, and I think my answer would be we are fighters. African women, we are fighters. I think all 4 of us, we have a story. Different in each way, but we are fighters. Not saying that women from other from other places are not, but particularly from, the women from the African continent that I know, we are fighters. I think we are special in a way that we don't give up easily. Sometimes it does require, a little bit of, us changing our mindset. I think by changing our mindset and believing, I think many of the African women I know is just the lack of belief in themselves. Talking from experience, when I started my journey on deciding, I will achieve this goal or I will start on social media. I think it was just a matter of, believing in myself, because I was always looking for that, equilibrium, to balance out my, personal life, husband, children, and, my ambition, my goals. And I came to the conclusion that, I cannot have everything, but if I change my mindset in believing that I can still achieve something with what I had, and this is what I did, by doing, if I cannot work outside the house because my child is ill, let me work from home. So I think that in that sense, we came a long way as women in Africa, but these days we are already finding women that, that are willing to, to go, to go get it, and, I'm actually knowing some women entrepreneurs from Angola, especially. I noticed the difference. Some of them, they want to still be the wife and, the good wife and be home for the kids, but they're also looking at on the other side, and that they do have ambitions, and, and they want to strive in their jobs. It doesn't matter if you want to be an author or you want to have your own business. Women these days, slowly, it's taking some time, but we are getting there. But, just to summarize, I'm very proud to be African. I think, if I was in Africa with everything that I've been through in this life, and especially in the last couple of years, I think, and, what we were taught, by, especially by our grandmas, being strong for the family. These days, we will be strong not only for the family, but also for ourselves.
I just love what everything you all says, between like having enough education for you to have your choices and also not looking at yourself like, okay, I should just have this because I'm a woman, or I shouldn't have this because I'm a Black or African or I have an accent. And also what's also Tanya says that, we are a fighter. Yeah, that's true. African women's, we are really extraordinary. We are amazing, and when you see like, African women as like so busy, and at the same time with all the challenge that we have between the cultures and the education, and trying to define yourself, and we're still trying to find the balance. And I think this is something that everyone, like everyone, they really should know. There is a reason why they call the queen Africa, the queen of Africa. African women has like the queen, because we are fighters, and we are really trying to find our ways. So you also mentioned, something very interesting, and I will go back to what Felicia says, and I also want your opinion about this. How can you, as African women, define yourself, like in different situations, like when you have um, your culture and you are trying um, to build like your professional career, or build yourself as an independent woman, but you still have all your culture. How can you really define yourself and be the person, the African woman that you want to be?
I think that I just came to the realization that we are all special in our own way. And, you know, by believing that we are special, and actually the world is ready to receive everything that we can bring to the table. And when I understood that, I think I started believing that everything is possible. Because before, I think, you know, it was, we were kind of taught, or the message was always that, you know, we need to copy what's happening in this part of the world, or that part of the world, or the Western world. But these days, the way things are, you know, the way the world is actually, the world is ready for us.
Yeah.
Every day when, especially what I do on social media, you know, in the beginning, I was always worried, okay, should I share how my life is? Should I share how I do my work? But then I realized that actually it is the difference in us, African women, that actually, you know, actually attracts people. So I think that difference is actually, being different is actually good. We have that power. And once we believe that, you know, this is what we were, let's embrace that, and let's show the world everything that's beautiful amongst, you know, African women, Africa. I think, you know, this is just something very beautiful. We are special. We are special in our own selves. Like Felicia is special, you know. I love, by the way, I love South Africa, is my favorite place. And you know, as from Angola, we also have so much to teach the world. And for me, that has been my thought in the last couple of years, you know. What do I have that it's so special that people are interested in? And I realized there's a lot. We are all special.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Felicia and Lucia, would you like to say anything?
Um, um, you know, so I'm gonna echo back with what I said. Like, so when I define myself, like you said specifically as an African person, right? I think about where it all started. So, like for me, culturally, we have this thing where they give you a name, right? Your name is unique, and it's supposed to prophesy your personality later on in life. It's really just them saying this is who you're gonna be, right? And also we have something pertaining to your last name, your surname, where they have is Tagazel, which is like a historical poem that they will recite, just where your name came from and what it's come to be thus far. So my African name is Noktula, which means and peace, right? And then if I look at the dynamic in my family, like I'm the one that the peacemaker, the one that's always like, if there's a fight or everything that's going on, I'm the one that's kind of like the peacemaker in the family, right? So I did live up to my name. So when I think of myself as an African, I don't think that I think, okay, um, what is it about me that's African? But I do remember like my roots, like everything is has this foundational Africanism. Zulu, like like tribally, I'm Zulu. So everything is like how you think, like your name, like it's I don't have a choice. I am what I am, who I am, because it was already there. It was just put on me. Before I even made the decision. I know people will talk about that with destiny, but like if I'm gonna draw my culture to define me, like that's where I start. And then I run from there. I mean, I know it's so much deeper than that, and this is just the surface, but it's really just the name and just the history of my, not ancestors, but really just my immediate uh, core, like what my last name means and what my name means and why they gave me that.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And you just saying this, it's like um having someone else choosing for your future and you have no voice to change. Yeah, that's very interesting. Lucia, would you like to say anything?
Oh wow, there's so much information. Oh wow. What else can I say? Um, well, I think you ladies have put it all so well. What can I say? I have to agree. Uh, I guess there isn't really much I can change from what you have.
All I can think is like poor Lucy and the flu.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah, so to what Tanya and Felicia said, just it's just so powerful. And if I have to say something, it really just reinforce, you know, the possibilities for African women to have the choice to be who they want to be, without being forced to live in some kind of like of culture environment where you don't have the possibility to choose about your professional or your identity, your character, how you can grow. And we also understand that a lot of in our environment, we see little girls just, growing up in this culture. It's like being molded while they are little, like you have to do this. And they just grow in this environment where they think that taking care of the house, what's the culture told you, this is what you need to be, you don't have any more choices. And I will use the word that Felicia said, it's more deep. It's really more deep, and we just really need to work on how we can um, maybe if I can say, I don't want to say the word like fight, but trying to break this cycle, of this. That's why that's why I believe so much in women's African women that are in the position where we are right now, where we understand and we are, we are another, we are content creators, we work with the like-minded people and women around the world, and we have this possibility to just be the inspiration and guiding other people. This is one of the inspiration that really gave me for me to do this uh video, this recording with African like-minded women, because I want us to share and just to share with the other African women is that, hey, there is hope, you know, there is hope, you can do it, and doesn't matter what culture are you in or how struggling you are, but you really have the opportunity to look. You have like another inspiring women, African women, that they are there for you, and they can be some kind of like a model for other African women. And just to close, tonight, and any last words that you all want to say for closing, like one word or two words to just kind of close your thoughts and give some inspiration to other African women?
Well,
Well, before, go ahead, Lucia.
okay, thank you, Tanya. Inspirational words to other African women. Um, I wanted to say, whether you are an author or a content creator, YouTuber, or you're on Instagram, whatever you do, I think, like Daniel said earlier on, we should be proud of ourselves. We should really embrace what we do for a living, what we do for our people, for our families, for our societies. And I guess we don't have to try to justify ourselves on a constant basis like we usually do. It's like it's almost ingrained in our brains that we have to keep on justifying ourselves whenever we want to stand out. So I guess we don't have to justify ourselves. We have to have the freedom to be who we want to be when we want to be, and to do it well with pride and with joy. You know, we have to be able to do what we do with love and, you know, thrive at it, you know, whatever we can find to do and that gives us peace and joy, we should be able to do it. You know, that's
Thank you
my
so much, Lucia. Felicia Tangyen.
When I heard Felicia say, it was a lot deeper than that, and the meaning of her name, I was like, I'm in trouble because I don't think I have a very African. Just wanted to say that, but it's very, um, it's amazing that that your name has such a meaning. Just saying that before I forget, before I jump into the actual question. Um, well, I think my message would be, I have two daughters, and this is what I usually say to my kids. Um, you need you can choose to be whoever you want to be in the future, but just remember that you need just be good at it. These days, I think we got to the point that we just don't pressure our kids to be something just because society thinks it should be this, or so I teach my kids, be whoever you want to be, but just remember you will live, uh, that will be your job, and just be the best you can be at it. And another thing that I think it would be also a message that I usually teach my kids, and this comes also to our history as African women. When I teach my kids, my daughters, to be, to learn things in the house, right? Let's say, do the dishes, do the laundry, you know, I always tell my kids, I'm not teaching you this because you are girls, you know. I want and I'm not teaching you this because one day you need to be, if when you get married, you need to be a good wife for this. Just think like this. You're learning this for yourselves. Before anyone else, you are learning this for yourselves, to take care of yourselves before taking care of anyone else. So I think my message to the African women, African girls, is just, you can conquer the world if you believe in. I was once very insecure, and I think that once we believe, we do all have insecurities. It's normal for us human beings. But once we really believe, and it's just a split second, sometimes it just takes that one click. We can achieve great things in life.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Felicia.
You guys are amazing. I don't know. Um, I mean, so I have a daughter now, so I think about these things all the time, right? And the main thing, really, I would say is to live is to risk dying. So just live, you know. I think a lot of people just exist in life and you want to live. So risk it all, you know, be unapologetic. Whatever you decide to do, if you want to be a housewife, there's nothing wrong with it. Do it wholeheartedly. Just don't half-ass anything. Whatever you do, just do it the best way you know how. Just push forward, but most of all, just live. Don't exist.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Yes, you or your message there, they are so great. And my message also for for women and African women is be the first to include yourself. Yeah, be the first to include yourself. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission to be who you are as a person. And be proud. Yeah, be proud of who you are as an African woman, and love yourself first, and never forget about you, that you are a human being, that you deserve to be happy, that you deserve to be professional, that you deserve to be anyone you want to be. And my other message really will be, don't give up on yourself. Never give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your goals. And don't think that your environment will determine who you will be in the future. The only way for you to change your environment is to change first your mindset and who you are from the inside out. I want to thank you so much to my three special guests for tonight. I'm just so grateful that you are here, and blessed to be in this position, and that I wish also for so many other women. So thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you so much, Felicia. And thank you so much, Lucia, for being here tonight, and just, having this conversation and be the inspiration for the new generation, not just for our children's, but for also our generation. And for you on the other side, I want also to thank you so much for you to taking the time to invest in yourself. And remember, always, you are special, you are unique, and embrace who you are as a person. And always, always invest in yourself. I also want to invite you to subscribe on my YouTube channel and follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, and LinkedIn. And for more information also about myself, you can go to my website, selmajacintodomingos.com. And I also want to invite you that I'm starting a spring 3-day challenge to take bold action, where you can learn all the technique and the experience that I had in my life to take bold action, because that's what you do if you want really to change your life. Nothing changed until you take action. So thank you so much. Take action today and sign up. Go to my website and you'll find the link there. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, and take care.
Thank you.
I will see you soon. Thank you so
It was
much.
nice meeting everybody.
Thank you. Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
As well.